I'm in this cannon. Fire me on the ship.
You're gonna miss.
Shoot me! Shoot me!
Drop the anchor!
Where are you?
Drop the anchor!
Shooting you.
Drop the
Yes!
anchor now!
Yes, yes, yes! Yo, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here, and welcome to Sea of Thieves. If any of you guys have picked up this game with visions of being the next Captain Hook, Monkey D. Luffy, or any other pirate you care to name, then it's important to have an understanding of the journey that lies ahead. If you have plans to sail the seven seas, discovering treasure, battling other pirates to prove you're the best, going face to face with hordes of angry skeletons, or earn enough money to be the coolest looking pirate, then you're going to have to know where to begin. And therein lies the reason behind this video. The first time you load into the game, you'd be forgiven for feeling a little bit lost. You start in the tavern, and the world is your oyster. There are vendors to talk to with cool stuff to buy, but you have no money. You have a ship, but with no real direction. Where do you begin sailing? Well, allow me to help. This, my friends, is your complete beginner's guide to Sea of Thieves. In this video, we'll cover the basics, go over how you can embark on voyages, how you can earn money, where to find some of the important items, and just in general, give you the knowledge you need to begin working towards that pirate dream. So if you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below and let me know if you guys have any other questions. And also, if you are playing and you've had any epic pirate adventures, tell me your stories. Now, where do we begin? Well, as mentioned, when you first start the game, whether you're embarking on a solo adventure on a tiny ship or a group adventure on a massive galleon, you'll all start out in the tavern. If you take a stroll outside, you'll be able to visit the array of vendors that frequent the tiny island. These vendors will not only sell you cool items, but they'll also be your point of contact for various voyages that you can take part in. As a very quick summary, your general vendors are the clothing shop, where you can buy a variety of pirate garments, as well as some more outlandish hairstyles and appropriately massive beards. Yes, if you want a hearty pirate beard, you're going to need to earn some gold. It's safe to say, that was the first thing I spent my money on. On top of that, you have the Weaponsmith shop, where you can buy new guns and swords, although it's worth noting these are purely cosmetic. There is no power advantage here, so if someone rolls up on your crew with a fancy golden gun, don't be afraid, it's no more powerful than what you have access to, it just looks cooler. There's also the equipment shop, where you can buy fancy versions of your default items like shovels, buckets, telescopes, compasses and more. And there's also the shipwright, who sells you new paint jobs, sails and figureheads for your ship, although this stuff doesn't come cheap. Also note that once you've purchased these items, you can apply them to any ship you own, so should your ship get stolen or sink, or you embark on a solo adventure then switch to multiplayer, these items can be applied to everything. You'll also notice there are some items that are locked. These are tied to the three trading companies in game: the Gold Hoarders, the Order of Souls, and the Merchant Alliance. As you increase your ranks with these alliances, you'll gain access to the cooler rewards. But how do you do that? Well, the other three vendors that you'll find in the outpost are the representatives for these alliances. Speaking to these people will allow you to grab voyages, which are essentially missions or quests, and completing them will reward you with money and reputation for that specific alliance. In the tents, you'll always find the Gold Hoarders. Now keep in mind, every outpost in the game will have these vendors, so you can interact with them anytime you visit an outpost. But the Gold Hoarders typically deal with the treasure hunt voyages. This will either see you dig up treasure chests or solve riddles, which then ultimately lead to more treasure chests. At the bottom you'll see the available voyages, then at the top you can see some of the optional upgrades and items once you hit certain ranks. When you find treasure, you'll bring it back to this vendor to cash it in. Second to that, you have the Order of Souls, typically found inside buildings that have these purple flags outside. The vendor is always a creepy looking person with dark eyes. From this alliance you'll get voyages that'll see you go out and kill hordes of skeletons, and that usually culminates in a strong skeleton captain. You then defeat him, claim his skull and return it to the vendor. And again, various unlocks as you progress in the ranks. Then finally, the Merchant Alliance. They're usually found by the docks, and these will offer you delivery voyages, usually requiring that you go out and obtain a particular item or animal and then bring it back. These ones are slightly different though, since any other voyage, say for the Gold Hoarders or the Order of Souls, when you get the quest items they can be returned to any outpost around the world, but the merchant orders are tied to that particular outpost and are also typically timed, so you need to be a little bit more organised with these ones. But either way, pick the voyages you want, and these will ultimately end up being your missions. Sure, you're free to explore the world as you please, discovering things as you go, but if you want a little bit more structure to your adventure, something to pursue, pick these up. Plus, completing these voyages is one of the ways you'll earn gold anyway, so if you want to start working towards some of those sweet items, then this is what you want to be doing. So, once you've grabbed the voyages you're interested in, head to your ship. Now, the layout is a little different depending on whether you're on a tiny ship or a massive galleon, but essentially you want to head over to the prep table. In the small ship, it's at the back, and on the big ships it's in the captain's cabin, and here you can propose a voyage. Now if you're on your own, you can propose it, accept it, and then embark. Meanwhile, if you're playing in multiplayer, other players will need to come and vote for this too, in order to kick off the voyage. You can press tab to see your currently active voyages and your trading company ranks. It's worth noting there's currently not a system in place to delete voyages, so if you pick one and don't want to do it, you need to propose the voyage, embark on it, and then cancel it. It's a little bit convoluted, but right now that's how you do it. So, now that you know about the vendors, where to get the expeditions, and how to embark on them, let's very quickly go over the 3 main expedition types. If you're on a voyage to find treasure for the gold hoarders, you'll bring up your quest wheel, that's E if you're playing on PC, and in there you'll have a map. You look at the map, pay attention to the shape of the island, and then go to your navigation map on your ship, and you scan around to try and find that island. Once you've found it, you sail over there, explore the island, and use the map to work out where the X is. Dig in that location, find the chest, and bring it back to your ship. You then sail to the nearest outpost. It doesn't have to be the one you got the quest from, just the nearest one, and hand it in to the gold hoarder vendor. Sometimes these quests will also have multiple maps and multiple chests, other times it's just one, and also at times you'll get a riddle instead of a map. The principle is the same, decipher the riddle to work out the relevant island, and then the clue will evolve once you arrive. As for the Order of Souls, this one is pretty easy. You head to the specific island and waves of skeletons will appear, you battle them until the big boss arrives, and you kill him, take his skull and return it to the vendor. But as for the Merchant Alliance, these will typically have you go and find animals. So first up, when you pick up the voyage, you want to speak to that vendor again to grab a cage that can be used to catch the animals. Take them back to your ship, make sure you have enough cages to get the number of required animals, and then embark on your voyage to find them. Now, chickens and pigs are typically found on islands that are not outposts. Smaller islands are often good for pigs, bigger islands for chickens, but a place you can go to get both is an island called Thieves Haven. Keep an eye out for that one. Head over there, carry the cage and catch the animals, and then bring them back to the ship. It's worth noting, if you catch a pig, you'll need to feed it to keep it alive. When it makes a lot of noise, feed it bananas. Meanwhile, the chickens and sometimes snakes, they're fine as they are. Once you have them, for these you need to return to the outpost that you got the voyage from by the time and date listed. Don't forget you have a watch in your item wheel which tells you the time and date, so use that to keep track of time. Now outside of that, there are of course other things you can do. You might discover hidden messages in bottles which lead to new voyages, and whilst exploring the world you might encounter shipwrecks or other events, so always keep your eyes peeled. In fact, one thing you definitely want to keep an eye out for are skeleton forts. These are the heavily defended islands like the one you see here. They're not always active, but if you ever see a skull-shaped cloud in the sky, all lit up, it means it's active. This is sort of like a raid. It's typically very difficult to do solo, but if you go to one of these islands when the activity is active, you have to battle waves of skeletons and then ultimately take down a big boss. Successfully completing this will reward you with so much treasure, you won't know what to do with all of it. But if you bring it back and cash it in, you'll easily net somewhere around 10 to 20,000 gold in the process. So always be on the lookout for these. But now that you have an idea as to the sort of activities that lie ahead of you, and you know where to get them, how to complete them, and ultimately how you can start to earn money, the final thing I want to touch on are a few handy sailing tips. First up, familiarise yourself with all of your items. Around your ship you'll have cannonballs which need to be loaded into the cannons in order to fire them. I recommend preloading all your cannons in the event you come in contact with other pirates. Note that you can also load yourself into the cannon and get fired if you want to make a stealthy approach on an enemy ship. You also have planks of wood. If you take damage, you'll need to use these to patch up holes in your ship. And when you take on water, you'll need to use the bucket in your item wheel to scoop up the water and throw it overboard. There's also an armory if you want to change your weapons. By default you have a pistol, but the blunderbuss is super strong and you have a sniper as well, and you can restock bullets below. Bananas are important, they're used to heal you, and if you're poisoned by a snake, combat that too. And should you want to, you can change clothes, vanity items and other cosmetic items on the ship. As for sailing, as you'd expect, the wheel is how you will steer your ship, and the gold handle is your indication that you are centered. So once you've turned enough and you want to level out and go straight, spin the wheel till that gold handle is in the middle. Plus, you'll also get some feedback to indicate that you're in the center. In order to pick up speed, you'll need to use the sails effectively. On the side of the ships are these sail controls. The front one allows you to raise and lower the sails, meanwhile the back one allows you to control the angle. Wherever possible, angle the sails so they catch in the wind, and this will ensure you're moving at top speed. However, if you want to turn, raising the sails will often allow you to turn quicker and sharper, and if you really want to turn fast, you can lock the wheel to either the left or the right and drop the anchor to essentially do a handbrake turn. It's important to take the time to master this because when you want to pursue fleeing targets or get the right angle on them to fire your cannons, this information will be invaluable. But for the time being, my friends, that is pretty much it. That's your beginner guide to Sea of Thieves. That's what you need to know to get started. If you enjoyed the video, then a like would be super appreciated, and if you have any other questions, by all means let me know down below. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.